ideally, we all want to look like this. Well, I mean, not the color, okay? But, well, at least for me, I would love to have a sharp chin. I would love to have a sharp nose, right? So if you see from the side, okay? Yeah. So if you have features like this, right? And you use, let's say, the N30i, okay? Okay? I would think with a nose shape like this, right? A sharp nose like this, I would think that the most suitable nose piece would be the S size. Yeah? Okay? So I'm just going to show you, right, how it fits really nicely. Okay, can you see? Right? Because the angle of the nose piece fits perfectly under the nose, under the mannequin's nose, right? Because she's got a sharp nose. Okay? So, similarly, if you're looking at the N20 nasal mask, right? Okay, it fits really nicely if you have, well, at least a bit of a nose bridge, yeah. But we've got patients who have very flat bridges, yeah. And it's really tough, especially if you've got fat cheeks like me, because when you have a flat nose or a flat or a flat bridge, but with puffy cheeks, right? It will tend to leak over here unless you tighten it a lot. But if your cheeks are fat and juicy like mine, if you tighten too much, it gets very painful, right? And the straps may actually start eating into your skin. Okay? But if you don't do that, the air is going to escape from here if you don't have a nose bridge. I mean, well, if you don't have a very high nose bridge, right? So, okay, similarly, okay, look at this guy, right? Okay, let me remove the mask and show you. So, he has got a nice and high nose bridge. And if you take a look at the mask, right? See the angle? So if your nose is very flat, well, if your nose bridge is very flat, it's still okay if you don't have very big cheeks. But if you have very big cheeks, it's really difficult. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's going to be very difficult. You really have to tighten your mask a lot. It's going to leave a lot of lines on your face. Okay? So, fits nicely on this guy. Yeah? Like this. Okay? But if, okay, I spent some time doing a bit of art and craft earlier. I hope you don't get a nightmare after looking at this, okay? Okay, but if your face looks like this, yeah, transformed one of my mannequins. Can you see the difference? Like, well, I mean, the cheeks here are not very fat, yeah, because I don't have enough clay. Okay, but if you look at the nose, look at the side view, right? The nose. Okay, so firstly, I've got patients looking like this, okay, who insist on using the N30i with a small nose piece, okay? I told them it's not very possible. If they want to use the N30i, try to use the SW nose piece, which is a bit wider, right? Okay, so if you can take a look, okay, this would still be pretty okay, right? But if you're gonna use the small nose piece, like everyone else on the forum says you should, take a look at this. How does it fit? Right? The angle of the nose piece is so narrow. There's going to be a big gap, right? I can't even push it up. Okay? But if we use the SW, the small white nose piece, right? But the other reason why I would discourage people with noses sloping up like that to use the N30i is because it's going to slip off very easily. Okay, so let me show you the other mannequin for comparison. Sorry. Okay, if you look at this nose, right, you can see it's nice and straight, okay, and it's, yeah, okay, it's, well, I won't say it's perpendicular, but yeah, okay, so remember what this looks like, okay, as compared to, sorry, really noisy today, as compared to this, right? So if I'm going to use the N30, where is it? Okay. If I'm going to use the N30i with the correct nose piece, which is the SW nose piece, it may seem okay during your mask fitting and all that because you're awake, you're conscious, which is why sometimes I prefer, or I hope and pray that patients will actually doze off during their mask fitting, because that's where they start tossing and turning and things start falling out. Yeah. Okay, let me loosen this. Okay, where's his nose? Okay. Oh no, the fat cheeks are in the way. Oops. Okay, I think I made the cheeks a bit too big. Okay, but for example, if this person really has such huge cheeks, okay? Okay, let me try and tighten it. Okay, firstly, do you see what I mean? Okay, there's nothing to really hold it. And when you're asleep, right? When you're asleep and you toss and turn, it's going to slip off like that very easily because there is nothing to anchor it. Okay? Right? You get me? Okay? As compared to this guy, okay, with a nose like this. So if I were to put an N30 on him, even if it's the SW, I think you can use the small, but even if you put the SW on him, okay, can you see it anchors better now? Right? It sits better, anchors better. Okay, because his nose is there to block it from sliding upwards. So if we change this, to the small size. It fits even better, I think. Right, so it nicely hugs the nose on the left and the right. So when he lies down, right, it doesn't move, okay? Because it's pretty secure, okay? And from the side, same as just now, it's not easy to fall out even if he tosses and turns because it's nicely anchored under the nose, okay? Okay, so let's look at my other mannequin. Yeah, the one that kind of looks like me. Okay, so what's gonna happen, right, if I put an N20 on him? Okay, I oops, oh no, what did I do to his nose? Okay, sorry. Okay, so his pretty flat nose, barely any bridge. Sorry. I'm gonna put the N20 on him and I'm gonna tighten it with the fat cheeks. And because the clay is so soft, you'll be able to see the imprints. Okay, let me briefly show you what I mean first. Okay, look at the nose, right? The bridge is not sharp enough to fill this up, but it doesn't matter, we can always tighten it, okay? But when we tighten it and we tighten the straps, the cheeks are going to be in the way. Okay, so look at the cheeks, right? It's very difficult for me to tighten it because his cheeks are sticking out. But if I don't tighten it, the gap is still here, okay? So I'm gonna try to tighten it now and you can see what happens, okay? Okay. Right. So now it fits nicely, right? Okay. Cheeks are a bit squashed, okay? But if you can imagine, right? Wearing a mask this tight for the rest of the night, for 7 hours, for 8 hours. When you remove it, oh no. See the marks that it has left? Right? Here, here, it has left very deep dents on the side of the cheeks. And this is what's gonna happen, right? And even here, this is what's gonna happen when you try to put on an N20 mask, when you try to use an N20 mask, when your nose bridge is really, really low, really, really flat, and you've got very, very fat cheeks, as I mentioned earlier, you need to tighten it a lot. So in order for this part to not leak, you tighten it a lot, you're gonna get a lot of marks here as well as here. Yeah? So the other thing, yes, the other thing is when it comes to nasal pillows, right? For some reason, people hate it when I tell them that they should use a medium size or a large, a large size nasal pillow cushion. It's nothing really wrong actually. I mean, oops, I don't have it here. Give me a minute. Sorry. So, right, this is the medium. And I always have to reassure them that don't worry, you're not going to push the whole thing in, right? You're not going to be able to unless you're a cow or something, or a hippo, or yeah. Okay, so this is the large. But the part that's supposed to fit in is over here, and it's not very huge, you know, to actually wear a large size. But everyone likes to go for the small. They like to convince themselves, and they try to convince me that the correct size for them is an S. But what's going to happen is if your nostrils, okay, I see whether I can make nostrils in this guy. Okay, yep, managed to give him nostrils. Oops. Okay, the nostrils are a bit big, okay, sorry. Okay, so for this guy, right, if his nostrils are so huge, and if you use the medium, it can probably fit, but there's going to be space at the side, right? There's going to be space at the side, and it's going to allow the cushion to move as he sleeps, or sometimes even worse, it enables the side to actually go in and rub against the side of the nostril, and that's why people start complaining that it's very painful, because they're using a size too small such that the base can actually slide into the nostril, right? Like this. Okay, like this. If this part actually starts to slide inwards, it's going to be very painful because it's going to rub against this side. Okay, and there's going to be too much space for it to be able to move. So firstly, it's going to leak, right? Secondly, you're going to get abrasions because it can move. It's just like when you wear big shoes, right? So people think that, oh, if you wear shoes that are bigger, you're not going to have blisters. Yeah, but that's not true, because it allows movement. It allows the shoe to go up and down, up and down, up and down, and rub against your skin, and that's where you get your blister, that's where you get your abrasion. So if you actually use an L size, okay, and it fits nicely, right? Firstly, the base is nicely outside the nostrils, right? Can you see? There's no way it can go in. It fits nicely, so it's firmer. It doesn't allow it to move from side to side, up and down. Doesn't allow it to like pop out like this. Yeah. So that's the reason why, we always tell people that they should use the largest possible size that can go into their nostrils, right? Without folding up like this. I mean, of course, if it goes into the nostril and it folds up like this, then you know it's too big, right? If it folds up like this, then you know it's too big, and it's going to be painful as well, because the kinked parts, the corners are going to, scratch the insides of your nose, okay? But I don't know why everyone keeps telling me that mine is an S size, mine's an S size. But when I look at the nostrils, it's really not an S size, yeah. So there's nothing wrong using an M or a large size. It's actually more comfortable. I mean, it's really, really the opposite of what people think. Like, the bigger size I use is going to be more uncomfortable because my nostrils are going to be stretched. No, I'm not asking you to use a size bigger than your nostrils. I'm asking you to use a size that fits your nostrils. Okay, so let me see what else. Yeah, so I think that's all I have for today. It's quite a short session. So, well, just to recap, okay, you need to choose a nose piece according to the shape of your nose, right? You can see the angles are very different. If your nose, it's not like very V-shaped, right? Like this. You should be using something like this for better fit. I mean, well, sometimes it can squeeze into like another size, like an M or something, but it's not going to fit as well as something like this, right? How can you fit a nose that is very flat into something, into a nose piece like this when the angle is so narrow, right? So yeah, so that's the first thing. Nose piece has to go according to the shape of your nose, not because it's small so you want to believe that your nose is small so you want to use a small nose piece. It doesn't work that way, okay? So this is pretty similar to what I mentioned about the nasal pillows, right? So choose the one that fits your nostril size. Don't go for the smallest possible. The small can probably fit into everybody's nostrils. Yeah. But it doesn't mean everyone should use small. Okay? So if you try the small, it can go in, right? Try the medium, it can go in, and yeah, it's not folded, it fits in. Then you should be using the medium. If you try the large and it can go in and it fits well, it doesn't move, it's not folded, it doesn't look like contorted, then yeah, you should use the large. So use the largest possible size, not the smallest possible size. Okay? So that's nose pieces. And then mask, right? So if you're using a tube on top mask, well, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with using a tube on top mask. But if you have a very flat nose, you'd probably want to go for the version with nasal pillows, right? Because they're like stuck in your nostrils. That's the anchor point, right? It's stuck in your nostrils. Unlike the nasal cradle version, right, which needs your nose to keep it in place. So if you have a flat nose like this, okay, a flat or upsloping nose, oh, poor guy, okay, you shouldn't be using an N30 eye mask, okay, honestly. Because I've seen a lot of patients who have insisted, I've let them get the N30i because they insisted, despite me telling them no, despite my objections, they still went ahead with it. But after the whole trial, they came back and said, okay, you're right, can I buy the other nose piece with the P30i nose piece? Yeah, so at least the mask doesn't go to waste, right? So here we go again, just to recap what I mentioned earlier. So if the nose is very flat like this, and if you use a nasal cradle, right, you can see, right, the nose is sloping outwards. If you're going to use a nasal cradle mask, it's not going to be able to hook on anything, right? Or even if it does when you're awake, once you sleep, once you turn and turn again, it's going to slip up. Yeah, okay. As compared to okay, sorry, as compared to the P30 eye nose piece, right? So unlike this one which slips, if I use the P30 eye nose piece, You see what I mean? Although it's very similar, but it's anchored, yeah, in the nostrils. It's like hooks in the nostrils, yeah. So it doesn't slip up, right? Because there's something hooking it up like this. Okay, you get what I mean? Yeah, so it's not impossible for you to use a tube on top mask if your nose is flat or it's a bit upturned. But I think you would probably just need to use a nasal pillow cushion, yeah, instead of the nasal cradle one. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So I think the last part, the last thing I covered was yeah, like for the N20 mask, it may not be suitable for everybody. And what's going to happen is if you don't want to tighten it and you say it's okay, just let it leak a bit, right? We do have patients who actually end up with conjunctivitis because the air is very dry and it keeps blowing and irritating your eyes. So a lot of people will tell me, oh, but my eyes are closed when I sleep. Yes, but the air can still go in. Yeah? So why risk things like that? If the mask cannot fit you very well, choose another mask that fits you better. Okay? So yes, back to the N20 mask. If you have a very flat nose bridge, very low nose bridge, it's still pretty okay, but if that's accompanied by very fat cheeks, it's a bit of a challenge, okay? So unless you're willing to tighten it a lot, okay, and you end up looking like a 巴掌, a 粽子, you know what that is? The dumpling, the rice dumpling, the triangular ones where you tie the string around it. Yeah, unless you want to end up looking like that, I suggest you do not take a mask like the N20 if you've got very fat cheeks and a flat nose. Okay, not the nose itself, but the bridge. But if you have, you know, if your face, if you don't have very fat cheeks, if your nose is a little, your bridge is a little bit on the flat side, it's still possible, right? Because it's soft, so you know we can actually, yeah, tighten it so that it brings it closer. Okay, but as I mentioned, it's going to be very tricky. It's going to be very challenging if your cheeks are very fat and juicy. Yeah. Okay. So if you insist on using it, yeah, you're gonna get marks like this in the morning. Well, I mean, of course it'll go away, right? But I think it's going to be a bit uncomfortable if it's going to be eating into your skin, eating into your flesh for the whole night for 7 or 8 hours. It may be a bit uncomfortable. Okay, so you decide, but yeah, this is all I have for you today. Thanks, bye.